The death of a famous life can be avoided if treatment decision is made properly. It's really sad to hear. On 7th July, the renowned economist S.W. Gao passed away at age 55 from angioimmunoblastic T-cell lymphoma. It's a very aggressive cancer for sure, but when you look at his treatment journey, a few critical mistakes stand out, and it's just really a shame. The first mistake made, the diagnosis take way too long. According to the media, his early symptoms showed up in January 2025, but he didn't pay enough attention to it and bounced around hospitals in Beijing for over 10 months without a clear answer. It wasn't until late November that lymphoma was strongly suspected, but they couldn't get a good tissue sample to confirm it. 10 months to get a diagnosis. That's a crazy long time. Sure, it happens. People get busy, hospitals are far, or doctors go down the wrong path in the very beginning. But for someone with his resources, it really shouldn't have taken that long. For aggressive disease, especially cancer, long wait times is definitely something you don't want. My honest advice, your health comes first. If something feels off, get it checked out immediately. Don't wait. To give you a comparison, I know of another case of the same type of lymphoma where the patient went from seeing a doctor to a confirmed diagnosis in just half a month in a northern Chinese city. The tests you need, imaging, lymph node biopsy, and immunohistochemistry aren't that complicated. Most major hospitals in China can do them. The fatal mistake was choosing Hong Kong for treatment. In many people's mind, especially the elder generations, Hong Kong is a place that delivers world-class treatment. On December 10th, 2025, he chose to go to a hospital in Hong Kong. By December 17th, they confirmed it was stage 4 T-cell lymphoma. They identified it as a not otherwise specified subtype. But later, Shanghai's Ruijin Hospital retested it and said it was actually a different subtype, the angioimmunoblastic T-cell lymphoma. So, the moment lymphoma is suspected, you should go straight to a top-tier hematology department in China. Instead, he chose Hong Kong. And honestly, that was a deadly mistake. China is actually a powerhouse in treating blood cancers. We have massive patient volumes, world-class expertise in stem cell transplants, especially the Beijing protocol for half-match transplants, and tons of new domestically developed drugs. Patient outcomes have improved dramatically in recent years. For tough blood cancers, a stem cell transplant is often the only shot at long-term survival. The US does about 20,000 transplants a year. In China, a single specialist hospital like Lu Daopei Hospital does over 1,600 a year, with over 11,000 transplants in total. Other top hospitals do hundreds a year with ease. The skill level is incredibly high. So the best move is a top Chinese hospital. The US is also a viable option, but Hong Kong, they just don't have the case volume. Yet there are still so many people who blindly believe in Hong Kong or Western countries over China's own capabilities. The Hong Kong hospital even got the subtype wrong. They had to rely on Shanghai Ruijin Hospital's immunohistochemistry to correct the diagnosis. That back and forth must have wasted precious time. Once you've picked a hospital and started treatment, switching is really hard. It's a huge sunk cost. If Ruijin is the one that got the diagnosis right, why didn't he just go there in the first place? Another big mistake is no plan for CAR-T or stem cell transplant. After 3 rounds of heavy chemo, by February 2026, a PET scan showed it wasn't working well. Some lymph nodes were resistant, and new ones even appeared. On February 21st, they switched to a PD-1 inhibitor, and he completed 2 rounds by March 6. The Hong Kong doctor's plan was just chemo and PD-1. It seems they never even considered, or didn't have the resources for, CAR-T therapy or a stem cell transplant. This is a critical oversight. Not having a plan for cellular therapy or transplant early on is a huge problem. As chemo and the disease progress, the function of your lymphocytes and stem cells goes downhill. Even if you try these advanced therapies later, they won't work as well either. The media press noted he consulted experts in the US and China, and they all agreed. The chemo resistance was due to genetic factors, and PD-1 alone wouldn't cut it. They said he needed innovative treatments not approved or available in Hong Kong. They agreed that in the long run, CAR-T and a stem cell transplant were his only real hope. This is the standard approach in China. For this specific aggressive type of lymphoma, which almost always relapses after chemo, a good doctor would have told him from the start to look into CAR-T clinical trials and prepare for a transplant. They would have collected his stem cells early on, after the 3rd or 4th round of chemo, while they were still healthy. Waiting just makes the quality of the stem cells worse. Also, T-cell lymphoma has very few targeted drugs. You have to consider CD7 CAR-T, and Chinese biotech companies are global leaders in this field, with tons of clinical trial opportunities. He finally went back to Beijing, but it's too late and made a mistake again. On March 16th, he returned to Beijing and went to Peking University Cancer Hospital. After rounds of tests, he was admitted on April 10th. The experts there concluded that conventional treatments had failed. Their only recommendation was CAR-T, followed by a transplant, and they suggested he go to Peking University People's Hospital, because their own hospital couldn't do the allogeneic transplant. Peking University People's Hospital is #1 for hematology. That's where the legendary Dr. Huang Xiaojun, who pioneered the Beijing Protocol, works. So, if he was already coming back to Beijing, why go to the cancer hospital first? It's just another frustrating and costly delay. He finally saw Dr. Huang at the People's Hospital on April 22nd, was accepted into a phase 2 clinical trial, and got a plan for CD7 CAR-T followed by a transplant. From March 16th to April 22nd, that's over a month of delay. For a patient in the late stages of blood cancer, that's too long. Sure, he had the connections and resources to get into a trial and see the top expert quickly. They got him the best plan possible. But it was just too late. 3 rounds of heavy chemo and 2 rounds of PD-1 had already taken a toll on his body and his immune system. By then, collecting his own cells for CAR-T was likely much less effective. In hindsight, a donor-derived CAR-T might have been a better option, but that's just speculation. His time had simply run out. This is a tragic loss, and with such an aggressive cancer, even a perfect treatment path might not have saved him. But I hope this story can be a lesson for families facing blood cancers. The more aggressive the disease, the more you need to think about advanced therapies from the very beginning. China has incredibly rich clinical resources for these advanced treatments, and many brilliant, reliable doctors. If this economist had just asked advice, he might have been pointed straight to the right hospital and had a very different outcome. China is the undisputed world champion in the specific critical technique, the Beijing Protocol, which saved a huge number of lives. At the same time, the entire field is rapidly advancing and producing a ton of research. It's a clear global powerhouse, but it's still building its reputation for the kind of foundational, Nobel Prize-winning science that countries like the US and Europe have been known for over decades. 2 takeaways from Gao's story. Number 1, don't wait like nothing serious is going to happen. Take your health seriously. Number 2, knowing which hospitals and specialists are good at your conditions is very important. It saves your life saving time and switching between hospitals. If this sounds useful to you, hit subscribe. See you in the next one.